How's it going? It's Aaron with ExecOS. Just wanted to give you an update of some of the things we've been working on in the background that might make your job just a little bit easier as an entrepreneur or executive. Thank you so much for tuning in. So first up, dynamic form viewing. So one of the things that makes ExecOS really powerful are the legal contracts that we offer as part of the subscription. And one of the things that we've been working on in the background in the engineering department is making it such that those forms, those legal contracts that we give as templates, can be dynamically filled out right on the site. And so there's a pretty slick little viewer that we've been engineering where you're able to fill it out on the left-hand side of the screen. And on the right-hand side of the screen, it begins to populate what will ultimately be a contract, a legal contract that you can download in PDF, Word, or email it to a party that you're working with. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to-do lists. ExecOS for a long time has been just sort of a store of information, whether it's contracts for your properties or your businesses or the entities that you're working on. In addition to that, the contacts, the people that you're working with, that the service providers and vendors and other folks, the contacts that are specific to that particular entity or project, that we've had sort of a pre-labeled way of keeping all of that organized without requiring that you reinvent a filing system. And so that has been part of the core offering since the very beginning. Now we're adding project management, and the first sort of step of that, the first stage of that, is to offer sort of a checklist, if you will, a template for a particular property. And the first thing we're doing is for properties, for real estate. So what does that look like? Basically, the way we see it is that there's sort of a baseline number of documents and baseline information that every single property is gonna have. For instance, it's gonna have a deed or a lease or some sort of ownership or responsibility, as it were, that an owner or a property manager or an executive, an entrepreneur is gonna have with a piece of real estate. And that's gonna be a lease, or it's gonna be some sort of document that allows an individual control of a piece of real estate. And so that's the first thing, a lease, a deed, some sort of document like that. And so that'll be a checklist. Second piece of insurance. You know, it's property and casualty insurance, it's homeowners insurance, it's an umbrella insurance policy. There's a variety of insurance policies that might be applicable to a piece of real estate. And then three is some of your basic service providers. So a banker, an insurance broker, any of those service providers. So maybe it's the electricity or the water, or anything like that. These are baseline connections, informations, documents that belong with a particular piece of real estate. So when updating the app to say, hey, I've added this piece of real estate, I've added this rental house, I've added this second home, I've added an office, that it pre-populates a few specific baseline requirements, as it were, or things that the app is gonna remind you as the user that, hey, have you input your lease? Have you input your insurance documents? And if you haven't, it's gonna send you a reminder for that. And so what that's ultimately gonna do, as you know, we're busy, right? We've got a lot of different things that we're working on. We're being pulled in different directions. And what I want is the app to tell me what I need to put in here such that I can do it and move on to things that I'd much rather be doing, that I'm actually gonna get paid to do, that are gonna help move the bottom line forward. And so, super excited about that. This is sort of a precursor to a more fleshed out project management tool. But the first stage are some of these basic reminders to input and include baseline information, documents, information, contacts to a particular piece of real estate, and getting a reminder to do so. So we're very excited about that. That'll be launched probably within the next month or two, those reminders and the initial project management features. Very exciting about this new development that ExecOS is gonna head on. So the third thing, or the latest batch of guides, and we call these guides, they're also contracts. We typically write a contract that's available as a member of ExecOS. And then we also write a guide that explains a little bit more about that particular legal contract, what it means, some of the more material elements of that contract, and then some examples, some pitfalls, maybe some videos if we can find those on YouTube, or we'll record one to help explain, here's why this thing exists, here's why it's important, here's things you may want to avoid, so on and so forth. So the latest batch of contracts that have been added to ExecOS are here. So a settlement offer. This is if you need to make a settlement with, you're gonna break a lease and you need to make a settlement. You've got a dispute that you're trying to work out with a business owner, and you need to settle that. This is a settlement offer contract. The second one is a cancellation of subscription. So maybe that's for a digital service like Netflix or Spotify, but it also could be for a storage unit, or for a service agreement that you've got with a service provider. And so this is a contract that cancels that subscription. The third one, really popular and in high demand, a lot of people ask for this, is a template residential lease. This is a boilerplate lease that's gonna include almost everything that is specific to being a tenant or a landlord. Of course, consult an attorney if you've got questions of your own, or you want to add particular stipulations or points that you need to include that are specific to your use case. So that's residential lease. A vehicle sale, if you're selling a vehicle, it's really important to include a bill of sale. And so this particular contract is specific to vehicle sales, and there's an opportunity to put in all the details there. The fifth one is a cease and desist. If you need somebody to stop doing something, that you can write this contract that is an official cease and desist. Number 6, cancellation of lease. That if you need to break a lease, this is the way to do that in an official way. There's also, as a landlord, the 7th contract is a notice to enter. It's very important in most jurisdictions. It's the law to make the tenant aware that you're going to enter their premises, and so this is an official notice to enter. If you're renting out space, or you need to rent space, or you've got a storage facility, the 8th is a storage space agreement, and this is all of the terms and conditions that you're renting a particular space, or you're renting it out, or you need to rent. And even if it's from a family member or a friend or a neighbor that you're gonna rent a garage or a particular spot in their yard, or you're gonna rent the back room of a colleague's office to hold whatever, it's really important to make sure that an agreement is in place such that there's no ambiguity. Ambiguity is the mother of all screw ups, right? And the more that you can get rid of ambiguity by writing it down and memorializing it in a contract, the better off you're gonna be. And it's not that you're presupposing that there's gonna be some sort of legal action taken because of an engagement. It's more to establish, what are we agreeing on? And if we are agreeing on this, here are the terms and conditions under which we're agreeing on it, and everyone is better off as a result. So I encourage you to check out that. A bill of sale is the 9th one, and then the 10th is a power of attorney. These are all templates. I encourage you to, if you've got questions, we're not attorneys, we don't play attorneys on the internet. These are template contracts that you might be able to use so that you're not writing this stuff from scratch. And then if you have an attorney, you can ask them to give you some guidance on modifying that or amending it to be applicable to your specific application and situation. So if you have questions about any of this stuff, or you want to check these out, check it out at execos.com, EXECOS, like an executive operating system. We'd love to have your input. We really appreciate you for your support and your patronage, and look forward to working with you for a long time. I'm Aaron with ExecOS. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you down the road.